Hello, I'm Katrina Marshall. Last week here on Foreign Exchange, the lifeblood of our economy, we discussed debt. More specifically, the difference between government debt and household debt. First, we established the definition of household debt versus government debt. Now we make the direct link to foreign exchange and our level of reserves. We've been speaking with the acting director of the Research and Economic Analysis Department of the Central Bank of Barbados, Michelle Doyle-Lowe, and senior lecturer in economics at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, Dr. Winston Moore. Now, let's get back to that chat, establish where we are as a country as it relates to the two types of debt. All right, Michelle, now that we've determined what government debt is and what household debt is, how are they similar and how are they different?
Well, we've determined that both government as well as households would use debt to undertake large value purchases. Unlike households, where debt may be defined in domestic dollars, for government you can have a combination of domestic as well as foreign debt. And that's important in terms of the foreign reserves because it means when government undertakes foreign borrowing, there is an injection in terms of the level of international reserves that flow in. At the same time, this debt has to be serviced. Interest has to be paid to the creditors and eventually it will mature. And that represents an outflow of foreign exchange. The other element to it relates to the fact that Barbados has a high import propensity. So we consume a lot, but a lot of that is imported. When households undertake to borrow more, it means that your consumer imports are likely to increase. At the same time, if government is paying more to households in the form of wages, or if itself government is spending more on services and goods, that too can put pressure in terms of the level of imports and by extension the amount of international reserves that you have.
When does government need to adjust its policies to address its debt?
At any point in time where government is unable to pay interest on its debt or to service its debt by way of paying it off when it matures, then there's an issue. That is heavily tied to the amount of funds that government must set aside in terms of revenue to service this debt. What you do not want is a case where government has to utilize a lot of its revenue just to service debt rather than directing it to entities or to projects that can either employ people or earn income or contribute to the social good.
Michelle, explain to me, if you will, why must government manage its debt from a policy perspective?
Well, if you think about it, the level of debt that government carries is really a product of its spending patterns and the level of revenue that is earning. Any adjustment to that debt has to be underpinned by structural changes to how government approaches its expenditure and how that is carried through in terms of its line ministries. At the same time, it's important to focus on what type of debt government may want to undertake to ensure that there is sufficient debt being directed to development projects and initiatives that will benefit the overall growth of the economy. That's critical versus debt that is just incurred to cover recurring expenses like wages and so forth. At the same time, there are different decisions that can be made with respect to debt, whether to have short-term debt or long-term debt, short-term being like your treasury bills, whether to have domestic versus foreign debt and the implication of that, or even whether to have debt across different currencies versus just in US dollars. All of those decisions carry related risks that must be assessed in terms of government's overall approach to its debt management.
If we've gotten ourselves into debt, surely there are ways of getting ourselves out of it. So what are our options?
Well, Katrina, all debt is not bad. At the
Say
end
that
of the
again.
day, no, I'm being very serious. At the end of the day, government needs debt in order to operate. It is not possible for debt to be paid off completely, where you have all individuals and all companies that hold government securities saying, I would like back my money now, one day. It's not feasible. right?
Okay.
What's important, though, is that government manages its debt in such a way that it ensures that interest is paid on time, that it is considered in terms of the risks related to that debt, so that investors are confident enough to continue purchasing that debt. And that allows government to have access to the financing it needs at any point in time.
Where are we as a country as it relates to the two types of debt, household debt and government debt?
Well, specific to government debt, we tend to look at the government debt to GDP ratio, which gives you a sense of government's capacity to service its debt, given the types of resources available in the economy. For Barbados, we've been able to achieve a debt to GDP ratio of 79%, and that is taking account of the holdings of debt by the NAS and is consistent with the IMF recent convention on calculating debt. That being said, it represents an increase since the onset of the crisis. The reality is that since that time, government has had a decline in its revenue, and in terms of the expenditure, even though we've seen some improvement over time, there has been increased issuance of debt.
Oh, that Michelle has given us such a great explanation as to the importance of government debt and domestic debt. Where are we specifically as a country as it relates to the two types of debt? What is the state of play?
Okay. If you first look at household debt, the most recent estimate of household debt in Barbados is about $4.5 billion. Now, there's a couple of things I would like to mention here about that figure. Capturing or measuring household debt is very difficult. You're talking about the liabilities of every single individual in Barbados. So for example, if you're trying to see how much a particular individual owes at any particular point in time, it's going to be a very difficult thing. So it's very difficult to measure household debt. But the best guess that we have so far, and I would say it is a conservative estimate, is about $4.5 billion. To give that figure some context, that would translate to about 60% of GDP. For a number of countries around the world, their household debt to GDP ratio is significantly higher. Some countries have household debt ratios to GDP of about 120% of GDP. We don't want household debt to get too large because it basically has a significant impact on our foreign exchange reserves.
Winston, how does debt impact on our foreign exchange reserves?
Right. There's a very close relationship between debt and the foreign exchange reserves, and that is particularly due to the structure of most small open economies. The estimate is about 70 to 80% of every single dollar that we spend is spent on imported goods and services. So for example, if I purchase a new car, that is imported from Japan or some other East Asian country. If I purchase fixtures and fittings from my new home, most of those are imported as well. So essentially, since debt finances consumption, and since consumption is usually spent on imported goods and services, there's usually a very strong positive association between debt and the foreign exchange reserves. Essentially, if there is increase in debt, which means increase in consumption, you should see some fall in the foreign exchange reserves.
Okay, Michelle, regarding the fiscal deficit, can you just remind us how debt affects this aspect of our economy?
Okay. When we refer to the fiscal balance, all we're talking about is the difference between revenue and expenditure. That being said, in an instance where the level of expenditure is in excess of revenue, that's where we have a fiscal deficit. That deficit then has to be financed. So the shortfall in terms of revenue has to be made up somehow, and for government, the way that it does that is by issuing securities that are then purchased by individuals and companies. Once that deficit is financed, that means that the overall level of debt outstanding increases to reflect that amount of debt or securities that are issued. Why it is critical to have a control level of debt is because the expenditure that we're referring to also includes the interest payments on the debt outstanding. So if you have too high a level of debt outstanding, it puts pressure on the fiscal deficit and exacerbates it by way of these large interest payments that have to be made every month.
Well, that's it for another edition of Foreign Exchange, the lifeblood of our economy. I'm Katrina Marshall. Join us next week when we look at how you, the individual, can contribute to economic stability. Until next time, for Foreign Exchange, the lifeblood of our economy, I'm Katrina Marshall.